Hello. If you are like me, perhaps you grew up with a lot of science fiction and fantasy in your life. Uh, for me, it was Star Trek, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, the old animated Hobbit, which I absolutely loved. Last Unicorn, pretty much anything that Rankin and Bass did. Rankin and Bass? I don't know how you pronounce that. Anyway, absolutely loved all things science fiction and fantasy. And of course, Star Wars is no exception. And I think, like a lot of people, I'm really enjoying the kind of renaissance that Star Wars is having right now. I absolutely loved Rogue One, The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, like all of it. And I know there's a lot of controversial opinions about some of the new movies and things, but like anything that gets me back into a fantasy or science fiction universe that I love just makes me happy. So when I found these bed sheets at the thrift store, I got very excited. They are, I think these are not like vintage ones. I think these are actually like a re-release, like Pottery Barn sort of situation. But I was very excited, and I am gonna make a dress out of them. Is this sacrilege? Maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but like I just think that these will make the cutest little dress. I have struggled a little bit with finding patterns that fit my body in particular. And so rather than trying to use a commercial pattern and making a bunch of adjustments to fit, I'm actually going to, for the first time in my life, try to make my own pattern. I have a dress form, I have duct tape, but I want to make it happen. So yeah, so that's my goal. Because I am kind of a frilly girly girl, most of the time, not always, but most of the time, I really want to make like a fit and flare style dress, I think, or like a pinafore style dress. I think my vision is a dress that has straps, because those are very important to me. I want to have like fitted in the bodice with a big circle skirt, and of course pockets, because I have lots of things to carry. You know, phone, wallet, shiny rocks, etc. So yeah, that's the plan. I want to do like a T length, I think, just like maybe a little bit longer than knee length, but very twirly. So let's go. Let's make a Star Wars dress. Okay, so this is actually going to be the first time that I've ever not drafted, draped a pattern. And I'm going to do it via um, my dummy, which, even though you can see that there are old like pattern drafting lines, I never actually finished those projects, so they don't count. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the cosplay duct tape method. I'm going to cover this in plastic wrap. Sorry, that was a little handsy of me. Cover this in plastic wrap and then some duct tape, and then I will draw on where I want all of the lines to be, and then I will cut it off and cut the pieces apart, and hopefully I will have a pattern that fits me. Now, unfortunately, I've had my dummy here for quite a long time, and you may notice that I'm a little larger. I got this pre-children, and now I have two of them, and yeah, so changes have happened. And that's fine, because we are body positive here, and that's fine. So we're just going to make clothes that fit, because that's what's important, is having clothes that fit your body, not a body that fits the clothes. So I'm going to pad this out to my measurements. So first thing I'm going to do is get my measurements, and then I will add stuffing and such to the bra and tank top here, so that it's pretty close to my measurements. This is kind of difficult to do on oneself, but we're just going for rough here. It doesn't have to be perfect. I am not planning on making anything like skin tight or anything. Okay, so that, and then I think really all I'm gonna need is like the waist and bust, because I'm planning on doing like a floofy circle skirt that's basically going to come out from the natural waist. This is new territory for me, so. Okay. Okay. All right, now I'm going to get to patting this out. I feel like we're getting close. This might be close. The boobs are right. Success. It's on the money. We are good to go. A note to my future self, if I ever decide to do this method again, I should definitely consider getting a smaller roll of plastic wrap. Trying to use the Costco size one was absolutely unwieldy. But I managed to make it work, but that might be easier for the future. Smaller roll that's a little bit easier to handle. Once I got all the plastic wrap on, I just basically went and covered the whole thing in duct tape, trying to make sure that I was smoothing over all of the curves so that I would have some good shape. Okay, now that she is covered in duct tape, I'm going to attempt to draw my style lines. All right, moment of truth. Let's cut her off and see what we've got. Once I had my duct tape pattern all cut apart, I traced all of those pieces onto some scrap fabric I had lying around and stitched it all together. After doing a try-on to make sure that it was going to fit right, and it did with just a couple of adjustments, I went ahead and cut apart my fabric mock-up so that I could trace it onto some flatter paper and make sure that I got some really good templates that I can use in the future. So here's me doing that. And then I was able to take all of my pattern pieces, my paper pattern pieces, and start tracing them onto my fabric. I started by doing the lining just to make sure that everything was going to fit right. And then when it comes to actually cutting these things out, one of these days I'm actually going to learn how to use a rotary cutter with some precision, but for the time being, scissors it is, even though it takes forever, especially on some really long patterns. But I got through it, and then it was time to start putting the pattern onto my Star Wars fabric. I didn't really go too far into pattern matching for this, but the one thing I did want to make sure was that I got that Star Wars logo kind of front and center on the bodice. So that was the one piece that I did there. Then it was off to start stitching it together. For the skirt portion of this dress, I went ahead and just used the skirt pattern from McCall's 7626. It's a pattern I've used before, and I know that I really like the shape of the skirt, and also it had a pattern for the pockets, so that made it a lot easier. With the skirt portion assembled, it was time to start attaching the skirt to the bodice, and then all I had left to do was put a zipper in the back. But of course, no project is complete without some sort of snafu. I'm really bad at zippers, and I somehow just managed to turn my dress into a Mobius strip a la zipper. So I'm gonna go find my seam ripper. I ripped out the zipper without too many problems, and then got it stitched back down the correct way, and then all that is left now is the reveal.